Commander Risha Patel stood at the UN Security Council's podium, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped its edges. The assembled delegates leaned forward, their faces illuminated by the holographic display showing the massive alien vessel that had appeared in Earth's orbit just hours ago. "The Zarkax come in peace," she announced, repeating the message that had been broadcast globally. "Their ambassador requests a meeting with Earth's leaders to discuss cultural exchange and technological advancement." Behind her professional demeanor, Risha's mind raced. Something about the aliens' approach felt wrong. After 15 years in military intelligence, she developed an instinct for detecting patterns, and the Zarkax's behavior wasn't adding up. The alien ship, a gleaming construct of impossible geometries, had appeared without warning, somehow bypassing all of Earth's early warning systems. Their technology was centuries beyond humanity's current capabilities, yet they claimed to seek cultural exchange with a significantly less advanced civilization. In the weeks that followed, the Zarkax demonstrated remarkable patience. Their ambassador, a towering figure named Kelthor, charmed world leaders with promises of medical breakthroughs and clean energy solutions. But Risha noticed their careful questions about Earth's military capabilities, power grids, and communication systems. Late one night, while reviewing surveillance footage of Zarkax diplomatic meetings, Risha noticed something peculiar. Their translator devices had a slight delay, not in converting their language to Earth languages, but in formulating responses. It was as if they were receiving instructions from somewhere else. She brought her concerns to Admiral Y at the newly formed Interplanetary Defense Force. "Sir, I believe they're mapping our weaknesses. The cultural exchange programs they're proposing are concentrated around our major military installations and power distribution centers." The Admiral frowned, studying the map sheet prepared. Red dots marked every Zarkax cultural center location request. The pattern was undeniable. They formed a perfect grid for monitoring Earth's strategic infrastructure. Risha's breakthrough came during a routine security sweep of the diplomatic quarter. Her team's new quantum scanning device, ironically, developed using principles learned from the Zarkax, detected encrypted transmissions emanating from their embassy. Working through the night with a team of cryptographers, they managed to decode fragments of the messages. Species shows minimal resistance to psychological manipulation. Defense capabilities primitive, but population size concerning. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol 7. The next transmission chilled her to the bone. Invasion fleet awaiting final confirmation. Sleeper units in position. Racing against time, Risha activated the emergency protocols she quietly put in place. Across the globe, trusted military and scientific contacts received heavily encrypted messages. The Zarkax had made one critical mistake. They assumed humans would be too naive to see through their deception, too trusting to prepare for betrayal. As she watched the sun rise over New Delhi from her office window, Risha sent the final message in her sequence. Operation Shadow Web is now active. Around the world, carefully chosen individuals began their assigned tasks. Military bases initiated communications blackout protocols under the guise of routine exercises. Scientists duplicated their research and transferred it to hidden facilities. Special forces units disappeared into pre-prepared positions. The Zarkax would soon reveal their true intentions, but humanity wouldn't be caught unprepared. In their arrogance, they had given Earth something invaluable: time to prepare. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was using their enemies' overconfidence against them. When the Zarkax ships appeared en masse 3 days later, blocking out the sun over major cities worldwide, they expected to find a helpless planet ripe for conquest. Instead, they'd find a civilization that had learned from humanity's long history of conflict. Never trust an adversary who offers too much while asking for nothing in return. As the first shots were fired from orbit, Risha allowed herself a grim smile. The real war was about to begin, and humanity had a few surprises of its own in store. Military strategist James Okonjo peered through his binoculars at the Zarkax patrol moving through the ruins of downtown Lagos. Their crystalline armor gleamed in the morning sun as they conducted what they thought was a routine sweep. None of them noticed the subtle shimmer of adaptive camouflage nets covering the entrance to Bunker 7. "They still haven't adapted their sensor frequencies," he whispered to Lieutenant Kira Yoshida, his technical expert. "Their arrogance is our greatest advantage." The underground facility hummed with activity as engineers and scientists worked tirelessly on reverse-engineered alien technology. The Zarkax had expected humanity to break under their initial assault. Instead, humans had done what they did best: adapt and innovate. When the invasion began, the aliens had targeted military bases, government facilities, and communication centers with devastating precision. But thanks to Commander Patel's warning, humanity's most vital assets had already been evacuated to hidden locations across the globe. The Zarkax celebrated their victory, unaware that their enemies were regrouping beneath their feet. "Status report," James called out as he entered the central command room. Holographic displays showed similar resistance cells operating across 6 continents. Each group specialized in different aspects of the counter-invasion strategy. Berlin reports successful replication of their shield modulation technology. Kira reported, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Mumbai has cracked their atmospheric transport signatures. And Santiago? She smiled. Santiago has something special. The Chilean team had discovered that Zarkax communication systems were vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies, frequencies that Earth's natural magnetic field produced during solar storms. It wasn't enough to disable their technology, but it created windows of opportunity for human strikes. James moved to the central planning table, where a real-time map tracked Zarkax movements worldwide. Their occupation followed predictable patterns. Another weakness: the aliens believed in overwhelming force rather than tactical flexibility. "They still think we're primitive because we're not fighting back conventionally," James observed. "They don't realize that every failed raid, every missing patrol, is part of a larger strategy." The resistance had learned to pick its battles carefully. Instead of direct confrontation, they focused on gathering intelligence and stealing technology. Each captured piece of alien tech was quickly disseminated through the global underground network, studied, and repurposed. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from the Asian Coordination Cell. Dr. Feng's face appeared on the screen, her expression excited despite her obvious exhaustion. "The Bangkok team did it," she announced. "We can replicate their quantum propulsion systems." This was the breakthrough they'd been waiting for. The Zarkax maintained control through air superiority, but they rarely ventured into space anymore. They believed Earth's space capabilities had been completely destroyed. They didn't know about the hidden shipyards being built in abandoned mining complexes. "Begin Phase 2, James commanded. Around the world, resistance cells shifted from defensive operations to active preparation. Engineers began converting the stolen propulsion technology into working engines. Combat simulators trained pilots to handle a hybrid craft's impossible maneuvers. The aliens had made a fundamental error in their assessment of human psychology. They saw humanity's retreat underground as submission, failing to recognize it as tactical withdrawal. They interpreted radio silence as communication breakdown rather than operational security. Late that night, as James reviewed the day's progress reports, a message from Commander Patel arrived through their quantum-encrypted channel. "Operation Trojan Horse is greenlit. Commence infiltration." Teams of resistance fighters, equipped with reverse-engineered cloaking technology, began infiltrating Zarkax facilities worldwide. Their mission wasn't to destroy, but to gather intelligence and plant dormant system overrides in the aliens' own networks. "They think they're hunting us," James told his assembled team leaders. "But we're the ones laying the trap. Every day they spend believing in their superiority is another day we grow stronger." The resistance had learned patience from their unwitting teachers. While the Zarkaks celebrated their apparent victory, humanity prepared for a reckoning they wouldn't see coming. The aliens had proven themselves masters of initial conquest, but humans were masters of enduring hardship and finding ways to triumph against impossible odds. As James watched the latest group of fighters deploy into the night, he remembered an old African proverb his grandmother used to quote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the leopard cannot protect himself from his own spots." The Zarkaks' greatest trap was their own certainty of victory. The silent resistance grew stronger each day, and soon it would be time to show their oppressors why humanity had survived every catastrophe in its history. The aliens thought they had conquered Earth. They were about to learn they had only awakened it. Dr. Yuki Tanaka wiped sweat from her forehead as she examined the captured Zarkaks power core through a quantum microscope. The basement laboratory of the former Tokyo subway station had become her home for the past 6 months, each day bringing new discoveries about their adversaries' technology. Their power systems operate on principles we never even imagined, she explained to Lieutenant Diana Rodriguez, who had just returned from another successful infiltration mission. But they're not magic. They're just following different laws of physics than we thought existed. Diana placed a new piece of alien tech on the workbench, a neural interface device taken from a downed Zarkak scout ship. This one was tricky to get, she said, rubbing her shoulder where a plasma blast had grazed her. They're starting to notice things going missing. The Resistance's strategy of studying and adapting alien technology was bearing fruit. What started as crude attempts to reverse engineer their weapons had evolved into a deep understanding of Zarkak's scientific principles. Humanity wasn't just copying their technology anymore. They were improving it. "Look at this," Yuki pointed to a holographic display showing the atomic structure of the alien materials. "Their armor isn't just strong, it's adaptive. But there's a pattern to the adaptation, a rhythm we can predict and exploit." Diana leaned closer, her military training helping her spot tactical implications. "So if we time our strikes to that rhythm?" "Exactly," Yuki nodded. "Their greatest strengths have hidden weaknesses, if you know where to look." The breakthrough came during a routine analysis of captured communication devices. Yuki discovered that Zarkak's technology relied heavily on quantum entanglement, but their implementation was surprisingly rigid. They had perfected one approach and never bothered to explore alternatives. They stopped innovating, she realized. They found something that worked and stuck with it for probably centuries. That's why they can't adapt to our counterattacks. They've forgotten how to think creatively. Diana's infiltration teams began targeting specific components that Yuki identified as crucial to the aliens' technological framework. Each raid was planned with surgical precision, the human fighters moving like ghosts through Zarkak security thanks to their understanding of alien sensor limitations. The Resistance's understanding grew exponentially. They learned that Zarkak ships generated specific gravitational frequencies during landing operations. They discovered that alien sensors had blind spots during certain atmospheric conditions. Most importantly, they realized that the invaders' entire military doctrine was built on assumptions about how civilizations should develop, assumptions that humanity gleefully defied. "They expect us to try replicating their technology exactly," Yuki explained during a global resistance briefing. "They can't conceive of someone taking their principles and applying them differently. It's like they're playing chess while we're changing the board itself." The resistance workshops began producing hybrid weapons and defenses that combined Earth's resourcefulness with Zarkak's technology. Plasma rifles were modified to work with human neural patterns. Shield generators were redesigned to draw power from Earth's magnetic field. Each innovation moved further from what the aliens expected, making them harder to counter. Diana's teams tested each new development in the field. The aliens' confusion was evident in their response to attacks using weapons they thought they understood but behaved in impossible ways. Their tactical databases couldn't account for humans using their own technology against them in ways they never imagined. They see technology as something that develops along a fixed path, Diana observed while reviewing combat footage. They can't understand why we're not following their logical progression. Yuki's team made another crucial discovery about Zarkak's physiology. Their sensory organs were optimized for detecting energy signatures rather than physical movement. This explained their reliance on technology for basic security. Once humans understood this, infiltration success rates doubled overnight. As knowledge spread through the resistance network, each cell began specializing in exploiting different aspects of alien technology. Singapore became experts at shield penetration. Cairo mastered power system manipulation. Vancouver developed new ways to mask human life signs from alien detection. We're not just learning their technology, Yuki told her team as they prepared to distribute their latest findings to resistance cells worldwide. We're learning how they think, how they fight, and most importantly, how they fail. The aliens had expected humanity to either reject their technology entirely or attempt to copy it exactly. Instead, humans were doing what they had always done, taking others' ideas and transforming them into something new. Each day brought humanity closer to turning the invaders' technological superiority into their greatest vulnerability. As Yuki reviewed the latest batch of tactical data, a message from James Okonjo appeared. Phase 3 begins tomorrow. Are the new weapons ready? She looked at the prototypes lined up in her lab, devices that looked like Zarkak's technology, but operated on principles the aliens had never considered. Ready, she replied. Let's show them how humans do innovation. Colonel Marcus Hassan watched from his underground command center as thousands of holographic markers lit up across the global display. Each light represented a resistance cell preparing for humanity's first coordinated offensive. After 18 months of preparation, Operation Phoenix was about to begin. All teams report ready, his communications officer announced. Waiting for your command, sir. Marcus took a deep breath, remembering how far they'd come. The Zarkaks still believed they were dealing with scattered insurgents, unable to comprehend the scale of human organization that had developed right under their sensors. Commence Phase 1, he ordered. Let's show them what humanity can do. Across the globe, resistance fighters emerged from hidden bunkers piloting hybrid vehicles that combined human ingenuity with stolen alien tech. The Zarkaks patrol ships reacted with predictable confusion. Their sensors recognized their own technology, but couldn't explain why it was behaving in impossible ways. In New York, stealth teams used modified gravity manipulators to scale alien structures, planting quantum disruptors at key points. In Moscow, fighters wearing reverse-engineered combat suits engaged Zarkaks troops with weapons that bypassed their shields completely. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing against opponents who understood it better than they did. They're responding exactly as predicted, reported Dr. Tanaka's voice over the command channel. Their battle computers can't adapt to our hybrid tactics fast enough. Marcus watched as 18 months of planning unfolded. The Zarkaks attempted to follow their standard combat protocols, only to find that humans had prepared counters for every move. Their rigid military doctrine, once their strength, had become their greatest weakness. The Resistance's greatest advantage was its decentralized nature. While the aliens focused their attention on apparent command centers, the real coordination happened through a network of quantum-entangled communications that Dr. Tanaka's team had developed. No signal to intercept, no pattern to analyze. Status report. Marcus called out as the first wave of attacks concluded. Shanghai reports all primary targets neutralized. London has secured 3 alien command nodes. Rio de Janeiro has control of their atmospheric defense grid. The aliens' response was swift but confused. Their ships launched massive counterattacks against resistance strongholds, only to find them empty. Meanwhile, human strike teams hit their real command centers. The Zarkaks had never faced an enemy that could match their technology, while completely ignoring their tactical doctrine. They're trying to regroup in orbit, his tactical officer reported, activating Operation Starfall. This was the moment Marcus had been waiting for. As the alien ships withdrew to their orbital positions, hundreds of hidden human vessels revealed themselves. These ships, built in secret using hybrid technology, represented humanity's greatest achievement, space warfare capabilities that matched and in some ways exceeded their invaders. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, Marcus commanded. Show them what humans can do with their toys. The space battle that followed would be remembered for generations. Human ships, smaller but more maneuverable than their alien counterparts, executed combat maneuvers that the Zarkak's combat computers classified as impossible. While the aliens relied on brute force and overwhelming firepower, human pilots used their superior understanding of the technology to run circles around their larger ships. Their orbital command station is isolated, reported Captain Nina Petrova from the lead assault ship. Permission to execute final phase. Marcus checked the tactical display one last time. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Zarkaks had fallen for every feint, responded to every attack exactly as predicted. Their perfect predictability had become their undoing. Execute final phase, he ordered. Let's end this. The human fleet converged on the massive alien command station, but not to destroy it. Teams of specialized infiltrators, led by Lieutenant Rodriguez, breached the station's defenses using access codes gathered over months of careful intelligence work. Within hours, the heart of the Zarkak's invasion force was under human control. As reports of victory flowed in from around the world, Marcus allowed himself a moment of reflection. The aliens had thought humans primitive because they hadn't followed the same technological path as other species. They never understood that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology, but its ability to adapt and overcome. Incoming transmission from the Zarkak's High Command. His communications officer announced. They're requesting terms for cessation of hostilities. Marcus smiled. Tell them we'll be happy to discuss their surrender. And make sure they understand. This is just the beginning of humanity's journey to the stars. The hidden army had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. Supreme Commander Ixur of the Zarkak's Empire stood rigid before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, his crystalline exoskeleton dulled with shame. The massive chamber, filled with representatives from 100 spacefaring civilizations, waited in stunned silence as he delivered his report. We grossly miscalculated, he admitted, his translator struggling to convey the depth of his dismay. The humans are not what we thought they were. The holographic displays around the chamber showed footage from Earth, Zarkak's warships being outmaneuvered by smaller human vessels, alien ground forces retreating from hybrid weapons they couldn't counter, and most humiliatingly, their own technology being used against them in ways they'd never imagined possible. Commander Risha Patel and Colonel Marcus Hassan represented Earth at the proceedings, their presence a testament to humanity's newfound status in galactic affairs. They sat quietly as Ixur continued his report, letting the truth of their victory speak for itself. We assessed them as primitive because they didn't follow established technological progression patterns, Ixur explained. We failed to recognize that their divergent development was not a weakness, but their greatest strength. The council chambers erupted in murmurs as he displayed the terms of the peace treaty. The Zarkak's Empire, one of the oldest civilizations in known space, had been forced to acknowledge Earth as an equal power. More than that, they had agreed to technological exchange programs under human supervision. The humans, Ixur continued, have demonstrated capabilities that challenge our fundamental understanding of warfare and technological development. Their ability to adapt and improve upon established technologies is unprecedented. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's research team had already begun publishing papers that revolutionized quantum mechanics theories held sacred for millennia. Lieutenant Rodriguez's tactical innovations were being studied by military academies across the galaxy. The humans weren't just joining galactic civilization, they were transforming it. We came as conquerors, Ixur concluded, and instead found teachers. The humans have shown us that true advancement comes not from perfecting one path, but from exploring countless possibilities. After the session, in a private chamber, Risha met with the Council's inner circle. The oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy wanted to understand how humanity had accomplished the impossible. Your species, the ancient archon of the celestial Concordat observed, appears to thrive on adversity. You don't just survive challenges, you emerge stronger from them. It's who we are, Risha explained simply. Humans have faced extinction-level events throughout our history. Each time, we adapted, innovated, and overcame. The Zarkax thought they were testing our weakness, but they were actually proving our strength. Back on Earth, the integration of alien and human technology accelerated. The resistance networks transformed into research and development centers, combining the best of both civilizations. Humanity's first official faster-than-light ship, the Phoenix, prepared for its maiden voyage with a crew of both humans and reformed Zarkax scientists. Marcus stood at the Phoenix's command center, watching Earth grow smaller in the view screen. Ready to show the galaxy how humans do exploration, he asked his mixed crew. They had all learned the lesson. Strength wasn't about having the most advanced technology or the largest fleet. It was about creativity, adaptability, and the courage to face the unknown with open minds and determined hearts. As the Phoenix engaged its hybrid drive, pushing the boundaries of known physics, a message from Earth flashed across the command screen. Dr. Tanaka's team had made another breakthrough, combining Zarkax quantum principles with human theoretical physics. They weren't just using alien technology anymore. They were reinventing it. The Zarkax had arrived expecting to find primitive beings ready for conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species that turned invasion into innovation, defeat into victory, and enemies into allies. As humanity prepared to take its place among the stars, one thing became clear to all who watched. The galaxy would never be the same again. A new age had begun, not just for Earth, but for all civilization. And it started with the moment the aliens realized that humans could not only fight back, they could change the rules of the game entirely.